Hi, my name is Paul Hanson. This video is about arpeggios. Arpeggios are the notes of a chord played one at a time. Now there's lots of ways to play arpeggios on a guitar, but we're going to use sweep picking. So first of all, let me give a little description of how to sweep pick. Sweep picking is kind of a way of picking a lot of notes without a lot of right hand motion. We pick, and I'm picking up on the high E string, and the pick is following through and then bumping into the B string without stopping. Then I can push it the rest of the way through the B string, and then it comes up to rest against the G string. So basically what I'm doing is keeping my motion going straight up without stopping. Okay, we can do that the opposite way too, of course. Maybe pushing the pick through the G string and coming up to rest on the B string. Okay? The reason I explain this is that this will help you keep from picking separately on each string. You know, if you don't want to do this. We want to make the pick follow through. Now, with the sweep picking, we're also going to, of course, do some stuff with our left hand. So let's move over to the left hand. I'm going to play an E minor chord. That would be 9th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string, and B on the high E on the 7th fret. And I'm going to sweep down. So each finger is going to play only one note at a time. Now if I hold all fingers down, that's a problem. It becomes a chord. So we have to play just one finger at a time. Now I can reverse that, of course. Okay. One exercise that helped me out a lot in sweeping up is this one where I pick down on the high E string, and then I followed it with a sweep across this. It's an E minor chord. And you can move that up the scale. You don't have to play it all the way up, but this should give you something to work on your sweep picking with. You can reverse that, go like this. Okay, let's move to what an arpeggio is. Now, arpeggios, like I said before, are the notes of a chord played one at a time. Okay, so let's understand a little bit what chords are, so that then we can know what arpeggios are as well. Chords are built from usually the major scale. They can be built from other scales as well, but we're going to just use the major scale here. Let's take the G major scale right down here, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then it starts over G, A, B, C, E. Okay. Now we can build a chord starting on the first step of that scale. That would be a G chord, right? Because G is the first step. Now remember this formula. It's very simple. Chords are built in thirds. In other words, chords are built using every other note. So if we take the first note G, skip the second note A, take the third note B, skip the fourth note C, and take the fourth note D. In other words, we're just taking every other note. G, B, and D. Now if I play G, B, and D on virtually any instrument, including bagpipes or accordion, we have a G major triad, or just a G. The G major triad would usually be called just G. You could say G major. Now on guitar, often we will double notes. For instance, we can play G here, here, and here with this bar chord. So we have actually tripled. 3 Gs, 2 Ds, 1 B. So we're playing more than one notes, but really only G, B, and D in different octaves. Okay. Now, we can also build a chord starting on the second step, which would be A, right? A is the second step. We use the same formula. We take every other note starting from A. So we skip B, which is next note after A, and then we take C, skip D, and take E. So we've got A, C, and E. And A, C, and E equal an A minor chord. So we don't have time to completely go into this, but if you build a chord on each step of the scale, you get a certain formula. Always the 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, 5 chord is major, 6 chord is minor, 7 chord is diminished, and then the 1 chord again. So it goes major, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, and that's important to remember. Okay, now to arpeggios. Finally, we get to it. We could play an arpeggio just by taking this G bar chord and playing that, but that's not a real creative way. So one of the ways I like to do it is take the traditional chords that you learn when you're first playing guitar, like a D chord, for example, and slide them to different locations and use those shapes to build arpeggios. So we'll take D. If we slide D up here to the 7th fret, then we have a G chord. And I'm going to double, like I did with this bar chord, I'm going to double the D note, but it's still just G, B, and D. And you get, and you can get a ballpark doing that. Anyway, so now let's build the 2 chord in the key of G. We're going to do that same thing, only with arpeggios, going up the major scale with chords. We're going to use arpeggios, though. So the 1 chord is G. Let's take a D minor shape and slide it up here. Now it becomes an A minor. And I'm going to descend to make it more interesting. So 1 chord ascending, 2 chord descending. Let's go to 3 chord, which is minor, and ascending. So I go all the way up the scale. And if we were playing those, we don't always have to play them in order. We can mix them up. Okay. Now, let's try another chord shape. We use D. We could also use a C chord. If we slide it up to here, put a little capo there, we have a G chord as well. So I'm going to play the same thing, 1 finger at a time. Remember, we're sweep picking. And then here, I'm going to double the D note twice. Okay, and then we'll go to the 2 chord, A minor. And we're using that same scale, 1 chord major, 2 chord minor, 3 chord minor, 4 chord major. Okay, now, of course, we don't have to play those in order either. We can play any one of those arpeggios. And they're all built from the G major scale, because chords are built from major or scales, and that's what we did right here. Let's do one more thing. We can combine these shapes, because actually the top half of the C shape is actually a D shape. So let's say we take the 4 chord and the 5 chord in the key of C. That would be the key of G. That would be G, A, B, C. So we're going to take a C chord and a D chord, and they're both major. The 4 and 5 chord are major. So here's a C chord. Now at the top of the D chord, I could just stop right here on the G string and slide back down. Now I'm playing the D shape. So, at any point I can continue down the rest of the way. And I could move up using that that system through all the arpeggios. Okay, next. Here's an important question. How do you use arpeggios while you're soloing? Well, it's as simple as this. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, but this is a simple way. Since all those arpeggios were built from the G major scale, then if we're soloing using the G major scale, you know, we could use any one of those 7 arpeggios in our solo. So if we're soloing along, we could also go into the arpeggios. And they all work. All 7 of those arpeggios are built from the G major scale. So if we're playing in the key of G, they'll all work. Okay, one more step, one more thing. If we're playing in the key of E minor, we're also playing in the key of G. That's called relative minor. And if you're not familiar with this stuff, you might want to study up. Every major scale has a minor, a relative minor. That just means that, for example, if we're playing in the key of C major, for example, all the white keys on the piano, all those white keys are also in the key of A minor. If we're in the key of G major, we're also in the key of E minor. Bottom line is that you can use all those G major arpeggios we just did in the massively used E minor key. Okay? Now, let's see. I've got a progression here that is a pretty simple E minor progression. A friend of mine, Pete Evans, a real good guitar player, and I came up with a bunch of progressions a while ago, and this one's real simple. It has based around E, and it goes to the 4-chord A at a certain part. So let me use, and I'll demonstrate some of those C and D shape arpeggios over this progression in the key of E. Now, if any of these things are going like phew over your head and a little too fast, you might want to get out the booklet that comes with the video and follow along. Everything's written clearly and precisely in tablature as well as notation. Another thing I just want to briefly say is that there's 2 types of phrasing that I kind of make a distinction between: even phrasing, even meter phrasing, and floating meter phrasing. In other words, with even meter, you're going to play 16th notes, 8th notes, triplets, things that fit evenly into the time, like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. And then with floating meter phrasing, that's basically where you just play as fast as you want. So you can do that, both types of phrasing with this. With these arpeggios, and just make sure if you're floating to try to keep some semblance of the rhythm and where the beat is, cruising along. Okay, I have several philosophies on learning, and one of them is this. For example, let's say, have you ever practiced something like for 6 months or a year and it didn't get better? Well, if that's happened to you, then you're normal, okay? One of the things I've found to help you get over that is to keep trying new things. But what I think happens is when you practice something and you can't do it, every time you practice it, you reinforce your subconscious back there that you can't do it. In other words, by not being able to do it, you reinforce that you can't. So I think now don't get me wrong, I think you should practice fundamentals and basics, but it's good to change things and vary them and do small little minute changes. And so as you're learning these arpeggios, go ahead and feel free to add pull-offs and take pieces of them and practice just small bits of them, as well as the whole big thing I'm giving out. Okay, this next idea is based around one that is kind of influenced by a friend of mine, Mike Ward, and he was doing this a long time ago, and I remember I took it and developed it and made added a few things to it. Let me play it first so you can hear what it is. So it's basically C shapes, but it's a little bit different, like what I was talking about. If you're having trouble with the other one, maybe this will work out a little bit better. So the idea is, here we'll take an A minor, and the idea is you skip the C note on your way up. Skip that note and go straight to E, and then pull off. Okay? So your right hand is just making a straight sweep all the way across the strings without having to do any alternate picking or anything at the top on the high E. Then you come back down to the G string, and then we're going to slide down to the next arpeggio, and then go back up, skipping the B note this time, and pulling off to it, and then coming down a G major arpeggio. Okay, and I found this neat little thing you can add on to that. This idea like... And let's say you're going up that A minor. And then I just moved and played all the way through all the chords in the key of G, for example. Now I could start with an E minor arpeggio, which is the sixth chord in the key of G. Remember? G, A, B, C, D, E. The sixth chord is an E minor. So, or I could go back down. So they're interchangeable. Another thing that I like to add on to that is this one kind of in the vein of a Russ Parrish lick, another real great guitar player. I have a lot of friends who are real good guitar players. And I learn a lot of things from other guys, and then I change them around, and I think that's how it works when you're learning. You learn a little bit from this guy, a little bit from that guy, a little bit from that guy, and you put them all together to create your own style. Anyway, this Russ Parrish idea kind of, I took it and moved it up the neck. It's basically like that. Now, if I add that on, well, let me explain it just so you see it slowly. If I do it right here, I'm using that G chord, the D shape again. And then I'm sliding right here, up to the high E, pull up, and then pull off, and then down the A minor, which is the D minor shape, up here. So, now if I add that on to that other idea, it gets kind of convoluted and complicated. And of course, all those will work in that E minor progression. So let me play those basically slowly in an even meter over the progression. Now, so far we've just been doing chords built with 3 notes. Those are called triads. Okay? You can also build 4-note chords. If we build, for example, a G major 7 chord, then we would take the root, skip the second, take the third, G, B, and then take D, and then we take the 7th note. Okay? That's called a 7th chord. Notes with 4 chords built in thirds, chords built with 4 notes are called 7th chords because they have the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. Okay? Let's try building an E minor 7. That would be the 6th chord in the key of G major. Okay? E minor 7. And we're just going to use 3 strings. Okay? So what I'm going to do here, this is like what we did right at the beginning of the video, only I'm going to add an upstroke right at the top on the 7th. It's actually flat 7. It's a D, and that's on the G string, D on the 7th fret. I'm going to pick up and then sweep down across, the 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, 1 finger at a time. Upstroke, setting up the down sweep, and then pick up. So I get the. Now, if I go to the next chord in the key of G major, it's going to be an F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which is a big name, but it's not that big of a deal. And I'm going to descend. So here, so I pick down, or I can just slide and pull up. So move to the next one. There, I just moved up the G major scale starting on E. And actually E is the relative minor, so if you're thinking of the relative minor, then I'm really starting on the 1 chord in the key of E minor, which are all the same chords and arpeggios as G major. So I can move those. All the way down the neck, and we get this nice little 7th chord kind of thing. All those are in the key of G major. Now, I came up with a neat idea. In any major key, there are 3 minor 7 chords in that key. The 2 chord, which would be A minor in the key of G, the 3 chord, which would be B minor, and the 6 chord, which is E minor. So, and this is, it seems to me that this lick or a lick like it is on some Steve Vai record. So maybe he was doing it before me. I don't know. So the idea here, I'm going to pick up and do the E minor, same thing we did here, only all the way up here. Then I'm going to slide to the 2 chord in the key of G and come down, play an octave below the E. So then we get this big, cool-looking thing. That I played at the beginning of the video. Now, these slides are kind of difficult, but the thing is, after you practice them for a little while, you start getting used to them, and they're not too bad. Keep an eye on your little finger, because that's the finger that is going to be that's going to play the first note that you go to when you move. And here you keep an eye on the first finger. Okay, so now I added to that playing. I mean, if you want to try something that's really a challenge, here I go from E to A minor, E minor 7 to A minor 7, then C major 7 to F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and then E minor, B minor 7, A minor 7, G major 7. So I'll play that real slow. Now I'm kind of slopping it up a little bit with the rhythm. The way I'm playing it is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Listen, I'm trying to play it that way. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Which works real well. Okay. And those licks are real good if you're up on stage and there's people 60 rows back. And then if they see your hand moving big distances, they know you've got to be good. Okay, so let's move on. And you know what? I'll demonstrate those over the E minor progression as well. Let's do that right now. Okay, let's do one more arpeggio idea. This one's really neat. This is a real cool one. I originally got the idea from another friend of mine, Kei Morioka from Japan, and I think that he got the idea from Jason Becker or Marty Friedman or both of them. Anyway, wherever it came from, it's a real neat lick. And he was calling it circular arpeggios, and I added a few things onto them. So well, I'll show you what it is first. If we play, let's say B minor, which is the 3 chord in the key of G, B minor, we can do it like this, and the notes basically follow a circle or an oval or football shape. What I'm doing here, I'm starting on B, pulling off to F sharp, going to D, going back to B, F sharp, D, just B, F sharp, and D, right? B, D, and F sharp are the 3 notes in a B minor triad. Down to B, sliding to D, F sharp, B, D, F sharp, and back up. And there happen to be 12 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that divides into 3 real well, so these work out well as being triplets, these type of arpeggios. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now if you want to move to another arpeggio, one place you can do it is when you slide back up with your little finger. Let's say you slide just up to C, which is the minor third, and the A minor chord. Want to play a major chord, we just raise the third. So B minor, A minor, and G major, the 3 chord, 2 chord, 1 chord in the key of G. Whoops. Now, another thing that's neat to do is make figure 8s out of them, and basically the idea there, when I get the little finger here, I'm going to slide down and then go up this B chord right here. So, and then picking on D, sliding back up. So, those are all the notes from a B minor triad. B, B, D, and F sharp. Okay, another thing, figured out how to come back around and basically make 3 loops. Same thing. Now as I'm sliding down here, I'm not going to a note. I'm just sliding and then starting on the D string. And then I go down to this chord shape, little finger, sliding. Okay, and then I work my way back up. I'll play the whole thing real slow. You might want to look in the booklet and follow in the tablature. Or if I go to A minor, I accidentally went to A major there. Okay, so I'll use these circular or looping arpeggios over the rhythm track. Okay, that's about all we have time for. There are a lot more ways to play arpeggios, and we basically just touched the tip of the iceberg. So keep trying new things, and you can change around some of these ideas and add them together and mix them up. Remember the first rule of music, though: practice makes perfect. There's a couple of books I'd like to recommend, and they're going to be shown right after the credits, and so check them out. I'll see you later.